They say some legends are born from fear, but the basilisk was born from something far older, something deeper, something darker. It doesn't slither like a snake. It doesn't crawl like a lizard. The basilisk doesn't need to move to kill you. One look is all it takes. In forgotten villages of Eastern Europe, old women still whisper about the creature that turns men to stone. In monasteries buried beneath centuries of dust, there are records that have been blacked out, ink smeared by trembling hands. They tried to erase the truth, but it stayed, watching. And now, so are you. Centuries ago, somewhere between myth and madness, stories began to spread. Travelers would vanish near certain ruins, animals perfectly preserved, frozen mid-motion as if sculpted by some unseen hand, eyes wide in terror, skin cold, bones shattered without a wound. They blamed the forest, the cold, demons, the devil, but not the basilisk, not at first. You see, the basilisk isn't like the dragons of folklore or the hydras of Greek mythology. There's no hero who slayed it, no shining sword, no triumphant tale. Only silence, a silence that stretches centuries. The first recorded mention comes not from a fable, but a warning, in a plague journal from 1587. Buried beneath pages of disease and death, one priest writes about a creature born from rot and venom, hatched not from nature but from sin. A serpent with the crown of a king and the gaze of death itself. The villagers in that journal sealed the well where the creature had whispered. They covered it with stone, carved symbols into the walls, lit fires every night for weeks, praying it had gone. But the journal ends with a single line, written in red ink. We buried it too late. That same village, it doesn't exist anymore. No records, no ruins, just a spot on a map where nothing grows. Birds won't fly over it. Dogs won't approach it. GPS loses signal there. But people still go. They always go. Some want to prove it's all just myth. Others want the thrill of a haunted story. A few want power. They search for scales, for bones, for proof, but they never bring anything back. And the ones who do return, they don't speak anymore. So what was it? If it wasn't a beast, what killed them? Let's go back, not to the Middle Ages, not to Rome, to a well. In the summer of 1733, in a small village near Krakow, Poland, people started getting sick. Fast. But it wasn't the plague. There were no boils, no fever, just blindness, followed by death. One child survived, a girl. She claimed to have seen a black shadow with eyes like coins crawl up from the old village well. Nobody believed her. But when a priest lowered a lantern down into the shaft, the flame went out. Not flickered, not dimmed. It vanished. They collapsed the well, poured in salt, holy water, even molten lead, sealed it forever. But here's the part they don't teach in school. 30 years later, during renovations, the well was reopened, and within a week, 5 workers were dead. Cause of death? Unknown. No trauma, no wounds, eyes wide open, pupils blown. One doctor wrote, "It's as if something scorched the soul but left the flesh untouched." That well is still there, locked behind an iron grate, and every year someone leaves a single dead rooster on top of it. No one knows who, but they keep coming. And now science wants in. In 1892, a fringe researcher named Dr. Joseph Reinhardt published a banned paper in a Vienna medical journal. His theory? The basilisk was never a reptile. It was a phenomenon, a convergence of gases, pressure, magnetism, and human fear. According to him, certain underground chambers could create visual hallucinations powerful enough to rupture blood vessels, blind the optic nerve, and trigger massive cerebral failure. He called it the eye that should not be seen. His lab was shut down 3 months later after 2 of his assistants went blind. One of them, before dying, reportedly scratched a single word into the tiled wall of the asylum. It saw me. So what are we left with? A creature that might not be a creature. A myth that might not be a myth. Something that doesn't breathe, doesn't move, but watches. Like a memory made solid. Like fear given shape. Could the basilisk be real? Not as an animal, but as a kind of ancient trauma, built into the places we forget, the wells we seal, the rooms we won't enter, and maybe it's still there, waiting for someone to open the door again. In 1977, 2 men entered a forgotten military tunnel in Czechia. It was part of an old Cold War complex, sealed since the 60s. They were looking for scrap metal. What they found was something else. At the far end of the tunnel, behind a half-collapsed wall, they discovered stairs. Old, narrow, spiraling down into the dark. They descended. At the bottom was a chamber. Stone walls. Thick silence. No light. They saw bones. Animal at first, then larger, like a boar. Some cracked open, some looked burned from the inside. In the middle stood a broken altar. Buried beneath it, a corroded brass plate. 4 words scratched into the metal. Do not look inside. They didn't stay long. Within 48 hours, both went blind. No injury, no illness. Their vision just stopped. One of them, Jan Horak, left an audio tape the night before he vanished. His voice is calm at first, but at minute 3, it changes. You hear him stop. A sound like breathing. Then he whispers, "It sees me, but it has no face." Over the next decades, stories like this kept coming. In 2011, sewer workers in Naples broke into an uncharted tunnel. They spoke of heavy air, thick with heat, and something moving but unseen. In 2015, a Soviet lab was uncovered in Georgia. Inside, a locked cabinet, a label on the glass, Regardus, Latin for the watcher. The container was empty. 2022, a viral TikTok from Romania. An influencer claimed to find a sealed crypt. The video cut out mid-sentence. His last caption read, "It's alive." It's aware his account was deleted. No one's seen him since. But here's the unsettling part. These aren't isolated. The creature's name changes, but the signs are always the same. In India, they call it Naga. In England, the cockatrice. In Greece, the Gorgon. In Poland, the basilisk. A serpent, a gaze, sudden death. Each culture warns you not to meet its eyes. But what if the eyes are just a metaphor? What if the real danger is something deeper? Not a monster with teeth, but something that mirrors your fear, shows you what you can't live with, then lets it destroy you. We always think horror comes from the outside, but what if the basilisk doesn't kill you? What if it just shows you the truth and lets you break? That would explain the blindness, the madness, the silence, because some things don't need to move. They just wait until you look. There's one final story. It never made the news, never reached the internet, but I've verified parts of it. In 1989, a team of archaeologists worked near a salt mine in southern Poland. They were tracing medieval plague burial sites. They found something different. A stone well, sealed with wax and iron bolts, buried deep in the woods, no map pointing to it. One of the workers pried it open. They lowered a camera down. 6 meters in, the footage cut out. No interference, no damage, just black. The lead archaeologist, Dr. Marek Zawadsky, descended himself the next morning. He never came back up. They found the rope cut clean, not frayed, not torn. Inside the tent he left behind, there was a single note. It knew I would come. It was waiting. What if the basilisk is not a myth, not a beast, but a concept, a living thought, a thing that exists only when seen, like a virus made of fear? In the digital age, that's even more dangerous, because what happens when we bring it back? Not through tunnels or tombs, but screens. What if the image itself is the danger? What if looking is enough? A classified CIA file leaked in 2019 refers to something called Image B17. No context, no origin, only one line redacted. Subjects terminated after exposure. All viewed file willingly think about that. It's not claws that kill, not poison, not teeth, it's attention. Your focus is the doorway, and once you open it, you can't close it. That's why the warnings say, don't look, don't meet its eyes. But maybe it doesn't need eyes. Maybe it just needs you. To believe, because that's how all monsters survive, isn't it? Through belief. So next time you scroll past a strange symbol, an unfamiliar sigil, an ancient face staring back from a screen, ask yourself, what if this time the basilisk is real? Would you look, or would you be smart enough to look away? Thanks for watching. If this story gave you chills, share it with someone who loves horror, legends, and the terrifying truths that hide in plain sight. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss the next deep dive into darkness. And remember, sometimes it's not what's out there that's scary. It's what's been watching us all along.